Hey everybody, it's Charlie with the Wilderness Station, here again in another episode of What in the Wild. And today I have a very special guest, but I wanted to ask you a question. What is Tennessee's state reptile? It's actually the eastern box turtle. These guys are extremely unique, and one of the unique features of them is that they actually have a specialized hinge at the bottom of their shell. Now, if we look really closely, this hinge allows the turtle to move their bottom part of their shell, which is really cool. So when they are scared and they need to protect themselves, they're able to close this part of their shell upwards and close this huge part at the bottom of their shell downwards, so that way they're all enclosed just like a box, and that's how they get their name. Now, an interesting fact about turtles in general is that no matter what turtle you look at, if we look at the top of their shell, they have 13 different sections, and these sections are called scutes. So no matter what kind of turtle you're looking at, they always have 13 different kinds of scutes. And each scute shows a different pattern, and every pattern is unique, just as our fingerprints are unique to ourselves. So if we look at an individual scute, one of those individual pieces, and we look at all those ridges, be careful not to count the actual pattern, but those little arches on the inside of those scutes, it's kind of like counting rings on a tree, and you can tell how old a turtle is. It gets you pretty close to about 20 to 22 years, so it's not an exact science, but it does get you pretty close. Now, I did show you the eastern box turtle shell. This shell actually comes from a common snapping turtle, one of the two snapping turtles we have here in Tennessee. But something that's really cool about this shell in particular is that this shell actually represents how turtles are vertebrate animals. They have backbones just like we do. Now, if you feel on your back, you can probably feel the bones on your back. But with a turtle, their shell is part of their backbone. Now, we know this because if we turn this shell around and look on the inside, we can actually see all the different ribs and the backbone of the turtle. So everywhere where my finger is touching here is part of their spine. And then here on these arches, these are all ribs. Just like how we have ribs on our rib cage, they have ribs attached to theirs. And with turtles being part of our local ecosystem, we have to represent them with a live animal, of course. This is Jack, our eastern box turtle here at the Wilderness Station. And as you can see, Jack has that really bright yellow skin and those really bright orangish red colored eyes. And if I turn Jack up just a little bit, we can see that under part of his shell, that hinge that allows him to close up. Now, they close up when they're really scared and they need to protect themselves. And we rarely see Jack do that here at the Wilderness Station. He's quite happy being here. He gets fed every single day and gets a lot of attention. Since these turtles do live on land, you can probably see that he's covered in dirt right now, but he actually has claws, which allows him to dig in the dirt. He likes to eat worms, crickets, really anything he can get his mouth on, which is why they're called a scavenger. They're just gonna roam around the forest and find whatever they can and try to eat it. They have that really sharp beak on the front, so if they have to chew through something, they're able to. And really strong back legs to help push dirt around. Now here in Tennessee, as you guys may have noticed, we actually have a lot of snow that comes through at very specific times. So once the weather starts to get cold, what these guys and other reptiles do is something called brumation. It's kind of like hibernation, where they don't really move too much and they don't go out and eat anything. But these guys will find a nice hole to get into or dig one themselves, and they'll kind of just shut their body off for a couple of months. We can start to see these guys start to come up back in the spring, and that's when they'll start looking for food. And Jack here is an average sized turtle. So these are about the size of boy box turtles. Now girl box turtles will get a little bit larger, but one thing that you're able to see is you can see the coloring on their skin and tell which one's a boy and which one's a girl just by looking at it. So boy box turtles will always have a bright colored skin, usually orange, yellow, or red, but their eye color is always red as well. Now girl box turtles are kind of like a brownish color, think of like fallen leaves, and their eye colors are a deep brown as well. Now, the moment a turtle like Jack here is born, they're born about the size of a quarter. So if you can imagine a turtle about that size, they're pretty small. But the moment they're born, they have no help from mom and dad. So they have to start remembering where things are. They have to find a home, find a good place to find water, maybe some food, and they have to be able to get out of rain when it gets too heavy outside. So once they found all those things, they start to live in that area for their entire life. Their home range, or where they find home out in the wilderness, is only about the size of a football field. It's about a 100-yard radius, which isn't very large. So if you ever find one of these guys in your backyard or maybe in the park, you're actually part of their ecosystem. That's where their home is. Now, one thing to note, because their home range is somewhat small, you never want to take a turtle outside of that home range. So if you're here at Barfield Crescent Park and you happen to see a turtle, maybe on the road or maybe even towards the playgrounds, it's not a good idea to pick them up and bring them to a new park, because that's not their home. That's not their home range. They'll spend the rest of their life trying to find a way back home. So the best thing to do is maybe to get them out of the road or contact somebody here at the Wilderness Station, and we can help relocate the turtle inside Barfield Park. And how you can help turtles out in the wild is a couple of things. In the springtime, when the grass starts to get really long, just look before you mow. Because right before the spring starts, we still have all that cold weather, and turtles are coming out of that brumation cycle. They're coming out of those holes that they've dug, and they might be in your lawn trying to scrounge up some last-minute food before heading back to their original home. So just look before you mow. And during the winter and during the fall, if you can leave the leaves as long as possible, sometimes the fallen leaves can help insulate the ground. And where the turtle is hiding inside their hole could be up to 30 degrees warmer than the top of leaves or even the top of snow. So it'll really help these guys last through the winter if we leave the leaves. Now here I have Peanut. She is an eastern box turtle, but as we talked about with Jack, he has those bright colored skin and those bright colored eyes. Girl box turtles will have like a brownish color and those brown colored eyes. Now you may notice that Peanut is a little bit smaller than Jack, and that's the way she grew up. She's only about a year or two younger than Jack, and the reason for that is because when she was a baby, about the size of a quarter, somebody found her in their yard and decided to keep her as a pet. They didn't really have the best environment for her, and they fed her only bananas, which isn't great for their diet. They like to eat anything red, orange, yellow. Think of any kinds of greens out in the yard. Dandelions in the spring are a great alternative, but they only fed her bananas. So unfortunately, Peanut didn't get the best nutrients, and her growth is stunted. So she won't grow any bigger than this, even though she's supposed to be bigger than Jack. And you might notice that her skin is a little bit drier than we would like, and that's because we have to give her special medication every single day, and she gets a water soaking every other day to help with those conditions. Now, if you love turtles just as much as I do, or if you've just now found a new love for them, we actually have the World Turtle Day celebration coming up in May. It's on the 23rd, and I invite everybody to come out. We'll be doing some turtle searches at Nickajack, and we'll have some special games and activities later on that afternoon. And if you like seeing Jack and Peanut today, they're always here at the Wilderness Station. They love all the attention that you guys bring. So come on, see them and all the other animals that we have here too. Now, if you have any questions about upcoming programs or even just about the animals, you can always give us a call. Our phone number here is 615-217-3017. We are located inside Barfield Crescent Park, and our physical address is 401 Volunteer Road. And all this information and much more is on our website.